Making the judgment whether a design is good or not good is something that I usually do kind of unconsciously. I just look at it and I feel like I know the answer to it. But yesterday I was trying to think like structurally, what's my thinking process around judging a design? How do I actually know if it's a good design or bad design? Now, the reason that I was trying to think about this is actually two reasons. One, I've been doing some portfolio reviews on my channel lately, and I've been critiquing the portfolio itself, but I was just talking about the design. Yeah, I think it's a good design or bad design. And some people were commenting, you're not talking about the design itself. Why is it good design? And so I want to kind of elaborate on this video how I come to the conclusion if something is a good design or not good design. The second reason is that yesterday I've published my talk with Chris Do, where he kind of suggested that I would formalize my thinking process so it will be easier for me to communicate when I'm hiring somebody else to work with, how I'm going to judge their work and how I'm going to evaluate whether it's a good work or not good works. And so I came to kind of three things that I think about, and I think about them in a sequence, and I want to share them with you. And so the sequence in which I judge a design, it goes like this. Does it look good? Does it solve the problem? And then, is it unique or is it boring? And I answer them in this order, and I'll try to explain why. So first of all, does it look good? First of all, what does it mean? Is it look good, or does it look good or not? So does it look good is a combination of a few design elements. Is the composition good? Is it good color balance, contrast, hierarchies? And the reason that I ask myself, does it look good before does it solve the problem, is because knowing if something is good or not, looks good or not, is something that I can answer instantaneously in less than a second. I look at something, I immediately know if I think that it looks good or it doesn't look good. Now, understanding if something actually solves the design problem that it was required to do is something that it takes a little bit more time to know. So I have to read the brief, what was the problem they were trying to solve, what was the target audience, and then try to judge the design, whether it solved it or not. So this is a more complicated question. But even if the design solved the problem and it doesn't look very good, then it's probably not very useful. People wouldn't want to use it. It's probably less readable. It's probably less usable. And so if I can answer the first question, does it look good, super quickly, and it doesn't look good, I might as well not continue to ask myself, does it solve the problem or so? And so that's the question that I ask myself first. Again, judging whether a composition is good or not, or a color balance is good or not. Let me actually show you an example. And by this example, I don't mean to disregard the design or anything. It's just something that I opened Behance and saw the work that was just recently uploaded. And check this out. So I think this design doesn't look very well, right? I don't really know at this point what is the brief. I don't know, maybe it's like perfect UX, but I don't think that it looks good. You know, the color contrast, there is no, I don't know where to look. The typography is not very tight, you know, the difference between the font sizes, the spacing here. So everything here is like visually wise, I think it's a little bit of a mess. And so I wouldn't even go deep into understanding how they solve the problem, because I think this doesn't look good at the moment. And so again, what is a good composition? That's a discussion by its own that maybe is worth a video. What is a good, you know, color composition? How to do good typography? Those are all, you know, complicated discussions. But I think that if you are a designer long enough and you've been doing things for a long time and you've been looking at good design work for a while, you have that kind of sensibility to look at a work and then immediately know, yeah, the typography here works or the typography here doesn't work. So it's really easy for me to make the judgment whether something looks good or not. Right, second question, does it actually solve the problem? So in this case, I actually have to dive deep into the work, read the brief, understand what they were trying to solve for and who they were trying to solve for. Because, you know, a lot of times people do amazing, shiny things, you know, the typography looks neat, everything is like perfectly, you know, perfectly aligned and everything is beautiful, amazing icons and everything. But then you try what they were trying to do and it doesn't really make any sense, or you don't really understand how to use it, or it's not even solving the problem, or it's not clear how to solve the problem. And so this is the second thing. And I'm not, by the way, talking only about UX design or web design, even, when you're doing poster design, you're trying to solve for a problem. You're trying to communicate something. There's something that you're trying to solve for. And so that work has to solve that problem. And then the third part, which is actually might be actually a bonus point, is this unique? Like the solution is unique. I've never seen anything like this before, or is it boring? Because, and I'll explain why I think this is an extra, because now, for example, in UX, there's so much, templates and UI kits and everything. So it's very, very easy. I don't think at this point where we are right now that, UX and UI, or for example, app design, is a very difficult thing to do. Why? There's so many like already ready-made solutions that look great, and all you have to do is rearrange them to solve your problem, and bam, you have a design that looks good because somebody did a beautiful UI kit. You've solved the problem, and then wow, that's great. But since there's so many of those templates and kits out right now, so many apps looks the same, and so your solution might end up looking boring or like million other apps. And that is very common. Now, it's not a bad thing, and you have to understand that a lot of times, even when you're working on big projects with big clients, sometimes there's not enough budget or time for a project to go in for the extra mile and to do something that is unique or that calls for innovation. A lot of times people just want to get it right so that it looks good and solves the problem, and let's go and move to the next thing. And fair enough, that can be okay. But every once in a while, somebody comes up with a new solution that you haven't seen before for that question, and that is unique, is memorable, and that's really amazing. And then it's like, wow, that's an amazing design. Again, if somebody comes up with a new solution that maybe looks amazing but doesn't solve the problem, again, it's not a good design. But if first two factors are, you've passed them, and then you've also hit the third one, then it's probably an amazing work of design, and congrats, very well done. So this is basically how I think about this. I hope I'm not forgetting anything. If you have any other thoughts, please leave them up in the comments. And I'll also link, obviously I'm not the first one who ever thought about what are my critiques for design or what is good design. There's the famous, I think, Dieter Rams, the designer, like famous industrial designer, who had like 10 ideas for good design. So I'll link that in the comments. If you never read that, go over it. And yeah, love to hear what you think. Hope you're having a great day. I'll catch you guys soon.